Dear Italy, I owe you an explanation. Most people who visit you come back changed and never quite say why. They tell their friends the food was incredible, show photographs, say it was beautiful, and that word does all the heavy lifting while the real thing goes unnamed. This is an attempt to name it. You're watching Escape to Europe, and this is our love letter to Italy. 6 experiences that explain what Italy does to people. 6 moments in Tuscany, in Umbria, in Puglia, on a lake most travelers have never heard of, that answer the question no one can quite answer after they come home. Let's go. 1. The week you learned that cooking is not a chore. A stone farmhouse in Chianti. The woman who greets you has fed her family for 40 years and agreed to let you learn. 7 days. Wake before the markets. Make pasta from flour and eggs. Eat at a long table with 12 strangers who by Thursday are refilling each other's wine without being asked. A week at organic Tuscany or Tuscany runs $3,750 to $4,950 per person in 2026. All meals and wines included. Less than a week in a Manhattan hotel. What you bring home is not a recipe. It is the understanding that making food with your hands is not a chore. It is the point of the evening. 2. The Sunday that lasted 4 hours. There is a kind of restaurant in Umbria with no menu. You sit down, and the owner, a woman in her 60s, 30 years cooking in this room, decides what you eat based on what came from the market that morning. 35 to 60 euros, wine included. What cannot be priced is the 4th hour. Nobody has moved. Someone produced a digestivo on no list, and the conversation has moved from where everyone is from to what everyone actually wants. That question at a table in Umbria on a Sunday feels answerable in a way it does not at home. 3. The September you picked grapes in the Chianti. In September, Tuscany smells different. Something sweet and fermented moves through the air. The first days of the Vendemmia, the grape harvest. On the hillsides of the Chianti Classico, the same families who have been picking Sangiovese since the 14th century are still doing it by hand. You can join them. Dozens of agriturismi invite guests in September and October. Pick in the cool morning hours. At midday, a long table in the shade. Ribollita, pork with rosemary, pecorino, last year's wine. The conversation is half Italian, half gesture, completely understood. By late afternoon, your hands are stained and your face hurts from laughing. Someone asks where you are from. You say the United States. One of them says, "You seem like you belong here." You will think about that for months. 4. The month you lived in Lecce. Most visitors do Rome, Florence, Venice. Lecce is in the deep south of Puglia, a Baroque city built from warm limestone that turns gold in the afternoon. The crowds have not arrived. A 2-bedroom apartment, 400 euros a month. A couple lives genuinely well in Lecce for 2,500 to 3,000 euros a month. Apartment, daily market, nightly aperitivo, weekend on the Adriatic. After 3 weeks, you stop being a visitor. The breadman knows your order. The vegetable stall saves the good tomatoes. You have built, without planning, a small life. When you leave, it does not feel finished. It feels interrupted. If this is the Italy you have been looking for, real, unhurried, built for living rather than visiting, subscribe. This is what we come here to find. 5. Civita di Bagnoregio. There is a town in Umbria that is dying. Founded by the Etruscans 2,500 years ago, Civita di Bagnoregio now sits on a shrinking island of volcanic rock above a canyon, reachable only by a single pedestrian bridge. 12 people live there. Entry costs €5. Arrive before 9 and you have it to yourself. Streets silent. A bar with 3 tables. The man behind the counter does not ask what you want. He has already started. You sit outside, espresso in hand, and look at the valley below. Your retirement worries, your fear that the best is behind you, all of it finds its proportion against 2,500 years of people who sat on this rock and wondered the same. 6. The ferry to Monte Isola. Between Lake Como and Lake Garda, tucked into Lombardy that most tourists drive past, is Lake Iseo. At its center, Monte Isola, the largest inhabited island in any European lake. No cars. The only way in is ferry from Bolzano, 8 minutes across the water. First crossing of the morning. The lake is still, mountains hold the mist. Siviano, 4 streets wide, a 14th century church at its center. Only sounds are water and bells. A fisherman sells sardine di lago desiccate, lake sardines cured in the old way, €2. You sit on the dock. You land back home and the bread tastes like nothing and everyone is moving too fast, and you realize Italy has ruined you, completely and permanently. What is your moment? The one Italy used to get you, the meal, the view, the conversation. Drop it in the comments. We read everyone. There is a phrase in Italian with no equivalent in English, not because it cannot be translated, because English never needed the word. Dolce far niente. The sweetness of doing nothing. Not laziness. The specific earned pleasure of existing without agenda, of letting a morning unfold because you trust it. Italians do not consider this a luxury. They consider it a right. That is what Italy gives people who stay long enough to receive it. Not a photograph. The permission, which sounds small and is enormous, to simply be somewhere and let that be enough. That is the explanation we owed you, Italy. And then there are the people for whom Italy stops being a destination and becomes a direction. The ones leaving Monte Isola already thinking about how to stay longer, about what it would mean to wake up to this water every day. Those people end up at Lake Como, at the villas on the water, the ones George Clooney chose when he could have chosen anywhere. We went inside, looked at what they cost, what they feel like, and what it means to own something on that lake. That video is right here. I'll see you inside.